You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's The New Normal After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's The New Normal After Show.
What's up, kids? Bing is for doing. We're here doing another after show for The New Normal, Season 1, Episode 5, titled Nanagasm. It's a good one, you guys. I'm your host, AJ Gibson. My co-hosts are all missing tonight. They're all elsewhere. Working, but I've got a stand-in, one of our fellow AfterBuzzers, Cathy Kelley. I almost said Kathy.
I know.
Cathy Kelley.
It's confusing with 2 first names.
Also a big fan. We've got celebrity super fan in here tonight, Ralph Cole Jr. How are you?
AJ.
Yes. So happy to have you, and we're going to talk about some of your other what you've got coming up and some projects you've got in the works and some stuff coming out this year at the end of the episode. So you guys make sure you stick around for that. But first, we're going to get into the episode.
Okay.
I love the title. Nanagasm.
Yeah.
Genius. Ryan Murphy, this is so classic. This episode is another classic Ryan Murphy episode. And it kind of runs the gamut of what we've seen this season so far. The show is out there. Love it or leave it, it kind of hits you over the head with a lot of these issues. And tonight they delve into the character, to Ellen Barkin's character a little more, which is kind of interesting to see the evolution of this highly Republican woman in the latter years of her life.
Exactly.
And what her struggles are and why she is who she is.
She's finally breaking out of her shell.
Yeah, which is kind of cool to see, right?
Yeah, it was nice to see, and she's showing some vulnerability. This episode let her see some vulnerability that we haven't seen exactly.
Yes, which has been, I think, definitely a critique of mine with the show. The show is great for one-liners. There are a lot of hysterical moments in the show, more so when Nene Leakes is on, I think, because she wasn't here tonight, which makes me kind of sad. But it's nice to see the moments where the characters get to come out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I love that. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, this episode, David's mother comes. The mother-in-law of Bryan. She comes in for a visit. Frances is her name, correct? Frances or Francine?
It's Frances. Played by Jackie Hoffman.
Yes. And you know of her how?
I knew of her from New York City days, and she's a wonderful comedian and a wonderful comic actress. And she has that very distinct look. So when she came on screen tonight, it was nice to see, oh, wow, Jackie Hoffman is back, and what great casting.
Oh, perfect. The crazy Jewish mother.
I know.
Perfect casting.
Totally gregarious, and that she happens to be a 4-star chef.
Yeah.
You know, that was just a nice touch.
And I like that you mentioned that, actually, because Bryan has issues with her.
Right.
And he kind of brings it up. He says, I feel like your mom always tries to outdo me. And I loved the flashback scene to the Christmas a couple of years back where he had made like this beautiful roast turkey for all their friends and family. And then she comes out with like, I would say souffle, but it was something. She lit something on fire.
It was creme brulee.
Yeah, something. She lit fire.
Lit it on fire.
And then as David says later in the episode, well, you know, there was fire. That's always exciting.
It is always exciting.
It's always a showstopper, a show
That's
pleaser.
how I feel when I make bananas Foster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You make bananas Foster?
Yes, I do.
Oh, Cathy Kelley. Work it out.
Yeah.
You light it on fire, but then all the guests love it. And that's how it is in the show.
Was it flambe? Does flambe mean fire? Maybe that's...
Maybe that's the style.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how. And it looks like that's what she did in this episode, which is funny.
In the nice little dinner card.
I like how we think we're like a cooking show now. But no, you find out very quickly when she comes to town that she and Bryan, they don't really...
They clash.
Yeah, they clash. And Bryan's character so far has been a little easy. It comes across a little shallow. Obviously, there's more to it. Anytime, and I think I can speak for myself. I have a lot of gay friends that are like him. They kind of have that sassy attitude about them where I think it kind of keeps people away. And I'm starting to understand, I think that's what his character, that's how he kind of is. And you see it a little bit in this episode. What do you guys think about the two of the Frances and Bryan?
I feel like they're a good yin yang. Like they balance out each other, and we've seen this in a lot of recent shows that have gay couples in them. There's like the manly guy, and then there's the more flamboyant guy. And I feel like even going further, their personalities are just, they're dynamic, but they also work well together.
I think it's also very interesting that the writers decided to show David and his mother Frances having such a strong relationship, where David is the butch one in the relationship. And that's kind of true. That happens a lot. I have a lot of friends who, it's weird. It's weird. For me personally, when I came out, my parents was like, they're okay with that, but then they want you to at least be like the manly gay. It's like they start to concede a little bit, but they don't want to concede too much.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how Ryan Murphy decided to write that into the show. David's still kind of a butch, kind of football-watching, beer-drinking gay man, whereas Bryan, not so much, and Bryan doesn't have a relationship with his family, we find out.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Well, I think and maybe what Ryan was thinking, to draw viewers in the middle America, as much as this perpetuates the stereotype, we do need that one butch and the one flamboyant to draw middle America, so they'll have something to relate to.
Yeah, it's the Will and the Jack.
It's exactly. If you have two Davids, it can still be compelling, but for middle America, there's not the differentiation of like, well, are they gay? Well, which one is which? Well, who plays the woman? This one here is it's more clear cut, and I think it's more accessible for more people, and that's why it's designed that way.
It's so odd because I have such mixed emotions about it, because I hate that. I hate that there has to be that. I understand why they're doing it.
Right.
I hate that. Because for people who don't know, and for people who don't have a lot of gay friends or family, gay men run the gamut, just like anyone. There's such extremes in every variation in society, just as there are in the gay community. And it's just a little expected to me.
It's still stereotypical.
Yes, but I'm trying really hard to watch this show through the spectrum, through the eyes of somebody from the Midwest, where I grew up. Because living out
you're
here,
from Ohio.
I'm from Ohio, where the show actually started, where Goldie's character's from. But so I get it, but it's having lived in LA now and West Hollywood for 5 years, I get a little bit frustrated with the show.
Right.
But I like that these characters are we're starting to see why they are the way they are. By bringing David's mother into the picture, we start to see why he is the way he is, and we start to see why Bryan reacts to her the way that he does, because it's not a good reaction.
David's mother is almost like how you were describing before, how she's okay with him being gay, but she also wants him to kind of like wear the pants in the relationship. And she was so happy when he said that the baby was his.
Thank God it's our child, you know, was her reaction. Yeah, I mean, what I wanted to say about Bryan's character, it's interesting in the pilot, you know, we were talking about exposing vulnerabilities or having real moments. In the pilot, it was twofold. Bryan sees the baby, and he's at Barney's, and he sees the baby in the stroller, but there was a really nice moment when tears welled up in his eyes when he looked at that little baby, and the little baby was cooing to him. And that moment right there was such a nice, real moment. It goes back to Fantasyland when he gets home and is saying to David, look what I got. Oh, God, I want one of those. Then it becomes superficial again, and it's like, really?
The baby's an accessory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and then in this week's episode, the 5th episode, I saw a nice vulnerability with Bryan after he had the interaction with Jackie Hoffman's character. And that they had that really great interchange in the kitchen. And it was great because they were trying to one-up each other, but it concluded with, wow. Yeah. And Jackie's character actually won, if you're going to say win or lose, the debate type of thing, because Bryan does call his mother at the end.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because that scene you're speaking of when they're in the kitchen, and finally Frances is like, listen, Bryan, let's just have it out. Let's quit tiptoeing around it. It's interesting because up to that point, you weren't really sure that she knew that was going on. She kind of avoided it. Whereas Bryan tried to talk to David a couple of different times, and he's like, look, your mom just acts like I don't exist. She disrespects me. She wanted the baby to be yours and Goldie's. It's just rude. And it was nice to see them finally kind of have it out. Because the funniest thing about debates, or this one in particular, they both wanted the same outcome.
Yeah.
They both, regardless of anything else, they want to come together for the sake of David and for this baby. You know, that's the central, that's the driving force in the show is this baby that's, you know.
They're on the same team.
Right.
Exactly. It's interesting how that works.
Yeah.
A baby can change a lot of things.
Well, God, you know, speaking of the debates and just making an analogy of it, it's like the different parties, political parties.
Of course.
We're all human beings, and we all want the same thing.
We all want the best for America.
The best for America, the best for our families, the best for our children. It's just unfortunate how we all have the different groups go about getting that.
Yeah.
Well, they both want to do it themselves because they feel like they have the best way to go about doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Ellen Barkin's character felt that she always had the best way. Like she says, how can I have these great political views and race relation expertise, but yet don't have a clue about my own personal life?
Which is kind of an ironic statement to make, because maybe I'll give her the political thing because I'm very Democrat, but I can understand that she's very passionately a Republican, and that's fantastic. I love an honest, like, not honest because there's no honesty coming out of her, but no, just kidding. No, I love a good healthy debate because there's never one way to do anything. I understand that. When she made the race relations comment, I'm like, you made so many racist comments throughout this season. That to me was just irony.
Yeah, right.
But I do appreciate that she feels very passionately about what she feels, because I may feel one way on an issue, but that doesn't mean I think it's the only way to feel. And I can respect somebody who feels differently as long as they know why. I get frustrated when people spew whatever it is about politics or about gay relations, and they can just spew all this hatred but have no reason, no way to back it up.
Right.
That I cannot respect. And so I do respect her character, because for whether I believe her beliefs or not, it doesn't matter. She believes them, and she knows exactly why she does, and I like that about her. And I do like that I like that she got to interact a little bit with Francis this episode as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that was very important.
Oh, yeah.
That they interacted, because now watching this episode tonight, I can see how this new character, Jackie's character, which she'll probably recur, she was the leveler. She took down, quote unquote, Bryan's character, and she took down, quote unquote, Ellen's character, because both Bryan and Jane's characters both had a realization and an approach to start a change in their own life based on what Jackie Hoffman's character said.
And it's interesting how bringing a new character into the show could really change the dynamic of these actors or these characters, because before, where Bryan and Nana, they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, something like this could pull them together. Francis coming at them from a different angle now, Francis and David, now that could kind of create a new relationship with Bryan and Nana.
And I thought it was so interesting how similar Francis and Nana were. They had, while they are so dissimilar, just because they're weird people.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they have the common background of having husbands who did cheat on them or didn't love them.
Well, and I think that's one of the show tries so hard to make so many political and social statements every episode. And I feel like they fail a lot, but that's one of the moments where I feel like they got it right. A little bit more subtle. You don't have to come out and be like, look, we're going to show you a Republican and a Democrat who are completely different but have similarities. They don't have to spell it out. We get it. You get it in the moments where they're sitting on the bench next to each other, and they just kind of like, oh, I was cheated on. Oh, so was I.
Right.
Okay. And they just kind of look at each other, give each other a glance, and in that moment, they understand each other.
Right. And in that moment, Ellen was, in that park scene, Ellen became girl-like when she says to Jackie's character, well, I did meet a man last night. And had and
then she's like, but that's all I'm going to reveal, or whatever.
Right. And that was because she's never like that. She's always so stoic. And and Jackie Hoffman, I loved her character. It's like, okay, you got a tight little butt. I'm sure you're getting some. And which is a nice compliment. Of course, Jane's character, Ellen Barkin's character, would love to hear that. Of course. But in actuality, I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I'm so cold and stoic. I haven't let anybody in, and I love Jackie's line going, don't let it get like an elbow down there.
Oh yeah, how hideous was that? That's embarrassing. An elbow. I just assume that's what's down there. I don't even know what's down there. Is it an elbow?
Well,
It's not.
Well, you've been stagnant a long time if it has turned into an elbow. But I love when Ellen Barkin's character is like, no, I am not letting another woman touch my vagina. I don't even touch my own vagina. Which I thought is a little revealing right there, because it's like, really?
Which is so true, though. And that I love that line. I'm glad you brought that up. I love that line because conservative women in general, they tend, especially the generations before, they tend to be that way. That's why like the vagina monologues was such a huge hit, because it was something like, oh my God, people are talking about their vagina. I remember when that was coming out, and there was an episode of, what was it?
Sex in the City?
No, it was like a talk show or something, and or what was where they said take the mirror and look at your vagina? Was that Sex in the City?
There was an episode when Charlotte had never looked at her vagina, and they said take the mirror and look at it, and then she's doing that thing in her bedroom, and then she topples over onto the floor because she convoluted into such a position.
I mean, they think it's so taboo, almost.
I have a feeling like I can't imagine that like any women in my family have ever like I don't even want to think about it, but I can't imagine. I come from a pretty conservative family. Growing up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe they just don't talk about it.
I don't know.
I just don't, just as a man and as a human, I don't know how you can get through life without touching a certain body part of yours. I just don't understand.
I can hardly get through a Tuesday without doing it.
Right.
I mean, to be honest.
Well, I think you kind of want to do it now.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Maybe I am.
Actually, I'm doing it right now.
3 hands.
Okay. Well, the thing about vagina, the Charlotte incident on Sex and the City, and now with the show Two Broke Girls. And when I first watched that show, it was like, wow, they've said vagina like every other word. And then on last night's episode, even the lead girl, the brunette girl who always says vagina, got a little turned off by saying it because one of her customers said it.
Yeah.
And it became too like, well, now everyone is saying it. It's not special anymore.
Well, the vagina was pretty special tonight.
Yeah.
I was thinking in this episode, it was really reminiscent of if you guys ever watched Desperate Housewives when Brie Vandekamp had never had an orgasm before.
Very much so.
Exactly.
Again, and again, that whole like
Conservative
Republican sort of thing.
Well, that's a good point, Cathy, because why is Ellen Barkin's character going to a doctor to find out, I need to know what the sensation was? Really?
She thought it was a stroke.
She thought she had a petite mouse stroke.
And they had almost the exact scene in Desperate Housewives.
That is too funny.
That is really funny.
Well, and I love how she didn't want to go to David either.
Right.
She's like, I want another, like
Well,
you said,
would
like
you
another.
want to go to someone who's somewhat related to you, or someone who could tell, you know, your family, your friends?
He's a doctor. He can't say a word.
But I can understand her uncomfortability. But then she brings up her racism when he named it doctor, an Indian name, and she was like, please, no snake charmers. You know, her racism had to get zinged in there.
And then she made a comment about healthcare too. Her HMO only wanted to send her to doctors in Ohio. So it's another jab at Obamacare and everything else.
Right. I mean, they really, in this week's episode and last week, they really hit it hard with, you know, last week was all about Romney, the black Republican.
Too much.
You know, Obama, Nene, and the brother were at odds because she's clearly Democratic and he's Republican.
Yeah.
And then his answer was, it's not about the race, it's about the issues. And that's what I'm going for. And that was his reason for that. It was just...
Which I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to take a quick second to say, you guys, it is about the issues. Tomorrow night's the first presidential debate.
Oh, right.
So whoever it is you support, watch the debate, educate yourself, and make sure you guys vote this fall. But really quickly, I also want to thank all of our iTunes listeners. I want to thank you guys for tuning in every week and for making our show what it is. We're doing really well so far, and we're getting a lot of great ratings. We expect more and more from you guys, and we appreciate them. But if you guys could go onto iTunes and rate us, 5 stars would be fantastic. We'd really appreciate it. And also leave comments, and I will get back to you. I know our other co-hosts aren't here tonight, but they will get back to you when they get back into town. And also tell your friends about us. And if you guys are fans of our show here, New Normal, or any of the other shows we cover at AfterBuzz, we cover a lot of shows here. There is an app for your iPhone right now, if you have the iPhone 4 or the new iPhone 5. It's called Podcasts with an S. And what you basically do is you set up all of your downloads where your shows will automatically download from AfterBuzz. So if you guys are a fan of AJ, you can download The New Normal. You can download Survivor. Your shows can automatically go to your phone, so you can listen to me spew my ignorance and all my knowledge. Yeah, right. Wherever you are, if you're in the car, if you're on the treadmill, hiking, Runyon Canyon, if you live here in LA. So it makes it really easy for you guys, and you guys won't miss an episode. But I want to thank you guys again for listening, for tuning in. So no, back to the show though. Nana is all over this episode, and I love the interaction with the guy. What was his name? I wrote it down. The guy she's staying in the hotel, and she meets, what's his name?
Oh, the guy she met in the bar.
Fat guy.
Yeah,
that's
fat
what
guy.
I call him.
What is his name? I thought I wrote down
Fat
somewhere.
jerk.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul.
Oh, Paul.
Paul's his name. Yeah, he is a fat guy. So she's staying at this hotel while she's in town, wasting all of her money, she said. All of her money, she's taking it out of her 401k, and it's going into the hotel room. But she meets this guy, Paul, in the lobby, and he kind of hits on her, buys her a drink, and she won't let him buy her the drinks, though. He tries to. She picks up the tab. He's like, well, I'm a gentleman. If I don't, I was raised where I pay for the meals, I pay for the drinks, and if you're not going to let me do that, I've got to find a way to pay you back. And she's like, She's a little bit slow coming around at first. He's flirting with her, and she has no idea.
It's weird. In their first interaction, they had this awkward chemistry, but I thought that it worked. And then we see later on in the episode that it doesn't. But
well, they do. I thought they. What did you think as an actor, like watching these two in the scene? What did you think? Because you wouldn't put them together just at first glance.
No, at first glance you wouldn't, but that's what I thought made the scene real, because Ellen's character obviously hasn't been touched in a while, hasn't experienced any kind of affection or love in a while. This man who, by society standards, we would call overweight, and we would...
no, he was fat.
Okay, he was fat. Okay, let's just say it. Okay, you know,
Pleasantly
call a
plump.
spade a spade.
she says it in the episode, I might as well say it now, but, you know, his whole approach was the stereotypical, okay, you're just a sleaze guy in the hotel lobby, hotel bar, trying to pick up your next woman. It was believable then, and there's another episode, incidents of her vulnerability. She succumbed to that, and she wanted that. She really wants that.
Yeah.
This Ellen character, as stoic and cold as she is, she wants that, but never lets her defenses down. This fat guy allowed her to let her defenses down, but then it turns.
Yeah, it definitely turns. But I like how they kind of delve into it a little bit and show that, because nobody, I don't care, there are very few people in the world who are just bad people, period. I believe that everyone has a story, and there's a reason why people act the way they do, why they put up the walls they put up, why they won't let anyone come closer to them emotionally or whatever. And we see that in this episode, and I like that.
I liked how we got to see Ellen Barkin's character be vulnerable, because she would not be otherwise. She's a very strong woman, and this is the first time where she's just kind of out of her element.
Yeah, and nobody, I'm sorry to put it bluntly, nobody wants to watch a bitch every week. And she really just is. Up to this point, it's kind of, and she has little moments, but like, you want to pull for her. Right. You've got to write her character in a way that makes you kind of like, okay, lets you in a little bit, then pushes
endearing.
you back.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll make you come back next week.
Yes.
Yeah, so, yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, I equate it to, okay, let's get political for 2 seconds. I can watch Bill O'Reilly because he has genuine moments where I don't agree with half of what he says, but he's endearing and he's interesting.
Yeah.
And culture, I can't listen to the crazy woman for 2 seconds because she's just psycho. It's kind of, to put it in that context, that's kind of what Nana's character is. She's the Bill O'Reilly. Yeah. She kind of is.
And I wanted to say too, in that bar scene when the fat guy came to, I just want to say this. It's hard. I feel people sometimes say, well, that guy would never be with that woman, or those two guys, they would never see each other. I can't buy into that. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But now that I think about it, in this episode, who does she end up walking away with? Ellen Barkin's character is that societally handsome guy.
Yeah.
You know, but I want to say that it was, as an actor myself and watching them, that was believable to me.
Yeah, and I think they kind of went extreme with Paul was his name, his character, for that purpose, to show that, look, this woman is desperate. Because then they did a flashback, and they showed her husband, who apparently was gay.
Yeah.
Which I think that I haven't noticed that in the first 4 episodes. I don't think that came up.
Flamboyant, but not out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even flamboyant.
He was kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Oh, at the dinner?
At the dinner table, yeah. And she was dressed in like some negligee.
Oh, very negligee. And then when she put his hand on her breast and he retracted.
He was like, I need to go to the pet store.
Well, see, I didn't get gay from him. I just got afraid. Afraid of...
I got gay.
I got a mixture of both, like gay, but he was afraid to even hang out with her.
Yeah,
hang out with her biblically.
Well, yeah, because I would be afraid.
Yeah.
I guess the reason why I didn't think of gay first is because I'm thinking, well, it's Ellen Barkin's character. How would her character ever be with a man that was gay? Because she's so in tune to who's gay and who's not.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now she is.
Exactly.
Oh, that's
exactly.
right.
And it starts to explain why she's so hateful and so aggressive against it now.
And
I'm sorry. I apologize. Go on.
No, also in the 60s, 70s, you know, it was taboo to be out a lot of the time, especially if you were religious, like as a man. So she probably didn't have any idea, and she wasn't in tune to it. She had no idea that gay was even a thing because they didn't talk about it.
And in all fairness, you have to remember, like, the whole gay rights movement really, I mean, it started obviously back in the day, Stonewall back in the 70s, but it really didn't really pick up the pace until the last like 10 years or so, 5 to 10 years even. And like I came out 12 years ago, and that was hard. And it was such a shock to my entire family and all my friends, except for a couple of people. But it was such a shock at the time, and it's light years different now. Going back to when she was married, that could have been, what, in the 80s or 90s, you never know. And it was even more difficult back then. I can't even imagine what it would have been like to grow up at that time.
I mean, now I feel like it's more publicized. Like, we do have these characters on television. We do, you know, see people who are out and, like, proud, and we get, you know, I guess, like, we're not as...
It's not taboo anymore.
It's not so foreign anymore because so many sports figures and celebrities and recording artists are coming out being gay, and it's like, oh my God. I mean, where society's getting bombarded by it. I can see Middle America, like that couple that was in the
pilot
mall. No, in last week's episode when they saw them kissing.
2 weeks ago, at Loman's.
You know that Middle America's even getting like, oh my God. Everybody around me is gay. You know, wow. You know, I never would have thought. And my football hero, my John Travolta. Oh no, you know, it's like
you heard it here first. Okay, we can't not confirm nor deny that. No, but you're absolutely right. You know, hip hop artists are coming out now. Frank Ocean coming. I mean, it's such a different world, such a different landscape.
Are they really
now.
even gay? Or are they just trying to be popular?
Yeah, I know, right? Gets you more Twitter followers now.
You know, right?
I mean, it's true. It's silly, but it's true.
And I have to admit, I totally made him, okay, I'm gay and totally clueless. Like, I'm thinking, no, I don't think he was gay. He's just scared of the woman. It's like, duh, he turns out being gay. I forget later, Bryan says that, I think, to her. Yeah. About, you know, you're upset because, you know, your first husband was gay, or your husband.
Well, in the moment, Oh, yeah. And I'm glad that I'm glad she finally had an orgasm. I can't imagine. I go a week, I'm struggling. Well, like, and she's got a lifetime.
Well, she doesn't even touch her vagina,
you
so I guess it's not
any
that
better.
I guess
it's like, I don't know.
That's true though. I mean, if you've never had one, what are you missing?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like growing up like Amish or something. Who knows? You don't have electricity. You don't know what you're missing.
Well, it's like me. I have an Android. I've never used an iPhone, so I only know the interface of the Android.
Do you want to try out my
I know
iPhone?
You're so zippity-doo on yours.
I know, right?
You'll never want to go back.
Trust me, it's true. I was a BlackBerry guy for years, and the day I switched over to iPhone was the best day of my life. Wow. Sorry, BlackBerry. No, we also want to take a moment to you guys. Thank you. Thank you for watching us, and thank you for listening to us. We have over 50 shows going on per week here at AfterBuzz. We are busy. Our team here is fantastic. Cathy's even stepping in just to host with me tonight, which I love you for, because I was a little nervous because you're great, but the two of us here alone for 45 minutes is a long time. I don't know what I'm doing.
Everyone's MIA.
Yeah, but we have a lot of shows going on, you guys, and we want to thank you guys for supporting them. What was the number we just got recently?
We actually had 11 million downloads last week.
That's insane.
It's
in a week.
Impressive, yeah.
Wow. So impressive.
Thank you guys so much.
So yes, we want to thank you guys for listening, for watching, and thank the team here at AfterBuzz for the opportunity to do this.
You guys are like Lady Gaga.
Right, basically. I'm Lady Gaga, and you, no, I want to be Beyonce. You can be Lady Gaga. Okay. I'm so Beyonce. Sasha Fierce. No, that's crazy, though. Those are crazy numbers.
Yeah, and it's all because of the fans. I mean, they support us so much, and we try to do as many shows as we can for you. So if there is a show that we're not doing, let us know, and we'll try to get it on the roster.
Our fans are incredible. Literally, like that's so funny. I got an email the other day about saying literally too much on the show. Now I'm aware of it. But our fans are so great at, I do Dallas, and I did it in the summertime, and I'm going to be picking it up again for season 2 in January. Okay. And we have fans who watched all 14 original seasons of Dallas, plus the primetime specials, everything else, and then started watching this show again and watching us on AfterBuzz. And if we were not sure about a fact or we get something a little bit wrong, we get long letters from these fans explaining to us the history of the Ewings and the Barnes family, and it's incredible. Our fans are unreal. And we have 77 countries, I believe. Over 75 countries. Over 75 countries around the world. We have viewers and listeners. It's insane.
Excellent.
And we've only been around for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Well,
Nowhere to go but up.
Well, on the radio show I work on, we use the word, Jasper always uses the word allegedly.
Yeah.
So just coin literally like we've coined allegedly and let that be one of your mantras.
I see that Jasper Cole.
Jasper Cole, yes.
Family?
No. Just
Really?
coincidence.
That's so wild.
I know, it's funny. I'm Ralph Cole Jr., he's Jasper Cole. And the funny thing is, when I met Jasper almost 4 years ago, and he said, oh, I'm Jasper Cole. And I said, oh, God, that's my cat's name, because I had a cat named Jasper Cole.
That is too funny. Jasper's a pretty classic name for a cat, I would say. Yeah?
And it was spelled Jaspur, because I'm clever that way.
Yeah, gotta be a little bit different. No, so I think that I'm excited about the show. I've struggled for a couple of weeks with it. I'm not sure exactly what I think of it just yet. I'm still kind of making my opinions. I'm still a fan of the show, and we've got some news coming up later on about the show that for those of you who are fans, you'll be excited to hear. But I like this episode. I like how it ended. That was probably my favorite part of the entire episode. After Francis and Bryan kind of had it out in the kitchen, then was it that night or was it the next night, I believe? David kisses Bryan goodnight. He's sitting on the couch on his laptop, puts his computer away and grabs his phone. And Francis kind of laid into Bryan about his mommy issues. And he picked up the phone and he called his mom. And that's how, yeah.
I'd like to redeem myself by knowing I knew he was going to call his mother. I had to redeem myself because I didn't know the other character was gay. Okay.
Yeah. You did call that, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think those are the moments I want to see.
Yeah.
It lasted for 2 seconds, but
it was so real.
Yes.
And I love how, while this is a comedy, it also has a lot of heart.
Yeah. And the comedy's fun. I love the one-liners. I've used many of them. The show is great for one-liners. But it's the other stuff, like those moments, those genuine, sincere moments that make viewers latch on to the characters, and that's what I want a little bit more of. Ryan Murphy has a tendency to be a bit over the top and in your face, which is nice. But the reason that Glee, for me, is such a great film is the way that Kurt's character on Glee started off just flamboyantly gay, but when he got into a relationship with his father and they started to get into those issues, that's when I really started to love the show. Same thing with this show. Like, I really want to know Bryan. I want to know why Bryan is such a bitch, because he kind of is. And I have a lot of friends like him, especially living out here in West Hollywood. And there's a reason. There's a reason he acts that way, and that he's so like Barney's is his salvation.
Well, now talking about predictions for the show, maybe now we will be able to find out what has happened, and maybe when they reveal Bryan's mother, that will be an interesting dynamic. And what we were speaking about before, AJ, in terms of the real characters, we liked Shania's character.
Shania's great.
As very real. She's the 9-year-old girl living her life, but the 9-year-old girl who is aware and hears all these horrible things that her great grandmother spews out. Like in the pilot episode, it's like, I'm unfriending you. You're a racist. So she's very on top of things. And
I think the interesting thing about Shania is that they are doing a great job of showing that hate and ignorance and all of these things are learned. And with Shania's character, she's the only one on the show that I absolutely adore. Goldie, I like Goldie too, but Shania, I adore her. And because they talked about it a little bit in the last episode with the Obama Mama episode, they had the voting at her school. She took the time to figure out why she felt the way she felt about the two candidates. And as much as I like to think that I'm always right, I'm a Democrat and I support my Democrats and whatever, and Republicans are so narrow-minded, I can be the same way. And Bryan and David, they showed that in last episode. Like, we have black friends. No, you don't.
Yeah, right.
Shania is one of the most mature people on the show.
Yes,
right.
She is. Exactly. And it's interesting because it's so true, though. The older you get, the more clouded your judgment gets. Because we get lost in all this red state, blue state, conservative, liberal, all this stuff going on, and that's what all the adults on the show are doing, while Shania is sitting back and just making a fair assessment
of everything.
Which is pretty cool. I really like that about her. Yeah. But before we go into predictions though for the next week's show though, which we are going to do, I'd like to talk to you a little bit.
Okay.
All right. First of all, thank you again for being here.
I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you for the shirt. It's such a happy shirt.
Okay.
It's perfect for the show. Look how colorful.
Yay.
Look at that. Fantastic. So you've got some projects coming up. So a lot of stuff you've been working on. You're a busy guy.
Yeah, I have been very busy. I'm a working actor, so I'm always grateful when that is happening.
Yes.
Most recently now, I'm in a short film called Dirty Talk that is written by Jeff Sumner and stars Jeff along with Jason Bogue, Claude Knowlton, and myself. And it's a fun 12-minute romp about a man discussing his sexual adventure he had with a guy who wanted him to talk dirty, and he was just unable to. He's telling his friends this. He's telling his friend this at the restaurant, and I play the sassy waiter.
And we actually have a clip from this, film, correct?
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know the clip that we have?
Yeah, this.
Can you set it up for me?
This would be our trailer. For, it's about a 1-minute trailer for Dirty Talk, and you'll see various scenes in the restaurant and in the club where the movie takes place.
Cool. Do we have the trailer ready?
I don't really consider myself to be sexy.
Oh, here it is.
Tell me about this crazy sexual adventure.
Wait, I don't even know you.
Well, get to know me, old bald guy.
It turns out he likes bald guys in their early mid-40s. Things started to take a turn.
What kind of a turn?
I didn't know what to say.
I'm surprised you were doing so well with Wiener and Hoo Hoo.
I love it. You're a little scene stealer. you were trying to explain it to me earlier. Your facial expressions are priceless.
Thank you, AJ.
That's adorable.
That was the example I was saying. I've learned with myself. Don't talk, Ralph. And less is so much more.
It really is, and that is so relevant to the show too. Like some of these characters, like the moments where they're not saying anything. Nana's character, or tonight Bryan's character, at the very end, he just sits there with a tear in his eye. Those are the moments that are so fantastic.
And Nana had that one vulnerable moment that we both caught when she walks into the room, and it was split second, but it was there, and that's what you like. You like seeing those things in the background or something you've never noticed before.
I don't like to be hit over the head with things. I like to figure it out myself.
Right.
I feel like I'm smart enough.
Oh, thank you guys for showing that. I appreciate it.
That's totally cool. I'm going to check that website out when I get home.
But anyway, that Dirty Talk film now, we're in 6 festivals. We just opened in in the Cinema Diverse Film Festival, the International Gay and Lesbian Film Festival in Palm Springs last weekend.
Fantastic.
And this weekend we're going to Atlanta, then we'll be in Sacramento, Tampa, and we just got accepted into the Long Island Gay and Lesbian Film Festival.
Good for you.
The film is going well.
Nice.
Thank you.
You're also
Thank you, AfterBuzz.
I also hear you're an NAACP award winner. Explain that.
In my bio, yeah, okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, I did read your bio. I've got it in front of me actually right now, just in case.
Well, NAACP, for anyone that doesn't know, is an acronym for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, and I'm so proud of this award. I like to refer to myself as Negro, and I've been ousted by my black friends for saying that because I'm not black. My skin is a beautiful brown, as you can see.
As you can see.
But anyway, in 1996, I performed at Pasadena Playhouse in a rousing musical written by Larry Hart called Sisterella. And it was produced by the late, great Michael Jackson and Robert De Niro. I had a stellar role playing the fairy godfather. It's a black version of Cinderella. And we played at Pasadena Playhouse. I won 2 awards there. Then we took the show to Germany and played there for 5.5 months. We were very well accepted there. And as a result, I was nominated for this award, the Theater Award, and gratefully I won.
That's
so
fantastic.
I was very proud of that, and there was an award that the Pasadena Playhouse gives out called the Fred Award. Fred is an acronym for Friends Recognizing Entertaining Drama. And my co-star, who is the star of the show, Yvette Casson, won. The production won, Sisterella, and I won. So
Big night.
Yeah, it was a trifecta for the 3 of us. So it was very exciting.
You've been a successful working actor for quite a few years.
Yeah, I mean, it goes off and on, but I'm always doing something. And if it's not on camera, it is behind the scenes or doing interviews. So I just like to keep working. And the more you work, the more you get.
You've got quite a few credits to your name. You've appeared on Scrubs, Desperate Housewives. I mean, 2 of my favorite shows, actually. I love Scrubs.
Right, because when we were watching Go On before, before, I was saying, oh God, Matthew and I got to work together.
Yeah.
I worked with him on Scrubs, and I worked with Marsha Cross on Desperate Housewives.
Wow.
It wasn't about her orgasm, though.
You couldn't give us insight to that.
No, that's too funny.
She was actually pregnant when I shot the scene with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was so lovely to work with, and Mark Cherry was wonderful to work with. So I was very happy to be a part of that. And I've worked with Charlie Sheen on 2.5 Men, and I've gone on to work on Cold Case. So I have been on fun comedies and 1-hour dramas too.
Yeah, it sounds like your body of work is pretty diverse.
It is. I'm always. I'm a character actor. I play flamboyant. I play fun, and I also play in drag. And when I worked with Marsha, I was in drag opposite her. So I, like Dustin Hoffman did in Tootsie, I have widened my spectrum.
Or Robin Williams in Mrs. Doubtfire, one of the greatest films of all time.
Exactly. And I've opened up my playing field of jobs that I can get. I'm not afraid to do it.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of being pigeonholed. Other actors that didn't want to do it were afraid of being stereotyped. I realized I am who I am.
Yeah, you're comfortable in your booking work, so go for it.
We need a campaign to get you on the new normal.
Oh, great. Yes.
Right.
Ryan, if you're listening, okay. Because, you know, I'm sure I could be a friend of Nene at some point, you know.
Well,
or some.
It's interesting. We saw Nene's brother last episode. Nene, in a recent interview, called Ryan Murphy her fairy godfather.
Oh. Great. So that's fun. Or I'm very appropriate for a Glee too, because I sing as well.
There it is.
You know, so you know.
You're multi-talented.
I like to think of myself as that.
So where can our fans find you?
Well, I'm on
live.
I'm on the Twitter, which is Ralph Cole Jr.
Okay.
And live, I'm actually going to be appearing this Saturday at Acme Comedy Club on La Brea. It's called the Hollywood Dream Role Show, where I will get to create my dream role and work with the Acme improv players.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh, it's really exciting. The tickets are only $10, and you can purchase them at hollywooddreamroll.com, or you can buy them at the door.
And that's this Saturday.
That's this Saturday. The doors open at 10 p.m. and the show starts promptly at 10:30. It's at 135 La Brea.
That's fantastic. It's always fun to do like new, interesting stuff like that in LA, and $10.
I mean, yeah, and $10 is a great price. It's, you know, I do a lot of eclectic things. Yeah, I do like to keep busy, and the more you work, the more people you know. And then the more people you know, you're more likely to go, hey, oh, you know what, Ralph could do that. What about calling him in? And I like to do that and put myself out there and just keep working. A lot of it is scary. I worked, you know, 2 years ago, I did a play called Dementia with the Latino Theater Company at Los Angeles Theater Company downtown.
He does accents as well, apparently.
Okay,
that was great.
Gracias. But when I auditioned for that show, I went because my manager sent me, and it was an audition. And I prepared the songs for them, and I sang one in Spanish. And I speak a little Spanish, but I learned a song in Spanish and sang for them. They offered me this role, and I even questioned at the time. I said, you guys, isn't there going to be a real Latino you could hire to do this? And they were like, we want you. I had no idea that I would be singing 14 songs in the show.
That's crazy.
And
Wait, in Spanish?
Half were in Spanish, half were in English.
Wow.
So at the audition, I prepared one song from the show, and it was in English. And then when they said, okay, well, you know, there are going to be 14 songs. And I was like, okay, you guys, I'm really good, but usually I just sing, you know, like I have a solo here and there, but you know, 14 songs and I'm singing this as La Lupe. Oh, okay.
Why not?
And okay, why not? ¿Por qué no? So I was freaked out, but as they said in this episode tonight, no, you need fear in your life.
Oh, yeah.
And that fear surpassed me as a performer, because I still get nervous for every thing. I was nervous for tonight, but now you guys have made it so
I know, I'm just going to take my headset off and walk out now. Like, look at him. He's tying his past experiences into tonight's episode. You should be hosting this show. I don't need me anymore.
No, we definitely need you. But the thing is, I like to work, and that project really did a lot for me. And I was very nervous because it was going to be a big Latino audience coming to see the show. Yeah. And I wanted to do right by everybody. And I was so proud when I came out from the stage door and people thought I was Cuban. And when I was talking to them after the show, and they go, where's your accent? I said, oh, I'm American. They're like, really? And then the thing that was so funny, I was in drag in the entire show. Women, it's so funny how our society is. women had no problem just touching my chest to see if it was real or not. And it was like, and I didn't mind, but it was like, oh, okay. You know, that's something that...
It's like pregnant women with
good
bellies.
point.
Yeah. You just think that you can just touch them because they're pregnant.
Because they're pregnant. You know, at least ask first. But no, but it was totally fine. But that was a big career advancement. And my manager, Jasper Cole, who's also my manager, was very supportive and said, Ralph, go out there and do this. And he gave me a very important lesson. Everyone thinks you're fierce, but you need to renew that fierceness because you haven't been that fierce on stage since Sisterella, where I got a lot of notoriety. And he was so right about that because Sisterella was in '96. So a lot of time, and I can live off that forever, which I plan to. But it's like, yeah, we need to make it current again.
Yeah.
So a lot of people came to support me for that, and it was very successful.
Well, that's how this, not just this industry, but I think the universe in general works that way. You have to put yourself out there and do the things that scare you the most in order to be successful. And that's, I mean, that's a life lesson we could all take.
Well, yeah, and I've done stand-up comedy, and I did stand-up comedy for a year in New York City, and I was very successful at times, and there were times when I was standing on stage with no laughter.
Crickets.
And it was like, and in that moment I'm thinking, okay, one, never use that joke again, and two, how am I going to get out of this? But I survived it, and I've done comedy improv also, and comedy improv, whether you're a performer or not, prepares you for everything in life because you have to be quick on your feet. And I mean, what we're doing now is improv. I don't know what's what we're going to say, and you just have to be quick on your feet to do it.
I'm taking another improv class next month, actually. Okay. I haven't taken one in 10 years. Isn't that terrible?
There's a lot to do, AJ, in life.
There is a lot to do. We have a couple more things to do before we wrap up the show. I think we should go into, I have a little bit of news and gossip, which I'm going to talk about just quickly.
AfterBuzz TV News.
It's not really news and gossip. We kind of touched on it earlier, but the New Normal did get picked up for a full first season run, which is exciting for them. They got picked up as well as their lead-in Go On, starring Matthew Perry.
Oh, great.
Who you said you worked with. Yeah, so we've got a full season of New Normal coming up, which makes me happy because I like the show. I don't love it yet. I love the pilot. If it can get back to that level of the pilot is one of the funniest standalone episodes I've ever seen of a comedic a sitcom in years. If it can get back to that level, figure out they've got to find a fine balance between the overtly like homophobic and racist comments and like the more subtle. Like it doesn't need to be so subtle that people don't pick up on it, but it can't be so in your face that it's just like, whoa, I can't deal with it. They got to find a blend.
I want to believe that they've just been kind of working on building their characters and making us emotionally attached to them, and now they're going to get back into, you know, the comedy aspect.
I hope. Yeah, it didn't feel that much like a comedy the last couple episodes. It's a lot of like big issues all the time. I'm like, let's not try to solve world peace right now. It's a sitcom. You know, let's just let it be what it is, and I think people will come around. So hopefully, fingers crossed, they've got a full season ahead of them. And they can figure that out.
Well, and I know you like prediction. I know you like to know what's coming up.
Yeah, let's predict. Let's go into. We have a sound effect for that one too. There we go. And watch. Ready? Are the lights going to go off?
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
It's our prediction segment.
Ralph's jumping ahead of you.
No, go for it, Ralph. Again, want to take my headset off and walk out of the studio? No, what do you got? Let's predict.
Well, when I host AfterBuzz, what I always like to do, Cathy, is, well, now, I don't really have a prediction. I have a hope. Because now, for example, that Nene wasn't on this episode, and we like Nene, and they've introduced Jackie Hoffman, a prediction can be, will we see Nene and Jackie Hoffman's character?
That would be fun.
You know, because we see how Nene is, and now we've seen Jackie Hoffman, and as sitcoms do, what will it be in that situation? So that's something to look forward to.
I love that they brought her character on the show. I'm glad you brought that up because it reminded me of watching Meet the Parents. Meet the Fockers, that whole series, Ben Stiller, and it kind of is. There's like the crazy liberal parents and the like really conservative ones. I like how they're kind of blending them together now. I think it's really interesting that last week they brought on Nene's brother, who's a little more conservative. He votes Republican, and he was a little bit kind of like taken aback when he found out that Goldie was pregnant. So that's kind of interesting. They're trying to. There's a lot of stereotypes, but a lot of characters who are completely against stereotypes too. I mean, a black Republican. I mean, he's the only one. I'm just kidding. But no, it's really interesting. I can't wait to see how they all start to interact now.
As Ellen said that night, I've heard about this, but I'd never really seen one.
Yeah, it's like gay Republicans, the log cabin Republicans. I'm like, I know a couple, but I've never, I don't know, I think I actually know one in real life.
I feel like we were left with a cliffhanger, though, this episode where I really want to see Bryan's mom and see how she plays into all of this.
Do we know any like scoop on this? Do we know who's playing his mom?
We probably don't. They probably haven't cast yet.
Yeah.
They're probably going to start. Well, that's a nice hook, and now that they've gotten picked up, it's going to make you, Cathy, tune in again to go, well, who's Bryan's mother?
Oh, that'll be a fun one. I'm curious to see. I feel like his mom would probably be very similar to Nana's character, Ellen Barkin's character. Probably a little more conservative and not so like proud of her gay son, who's a little more effeminate and likes to shop at Barney's. Yeah, my prediction is simply that these characters are going to keep intertwining, and I can't wait to see. My prediction is also that we'll see more Nene, because I think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
She's really surprised me. And she also said that she might not be doing the Real Housewives franchise from after this season. So maybe that means they've got more planned for her at a new normal.
Well, like as you talk about with the one-liners in the pilot episode, I love when Nene's first entrance comes in and she goes, "I like the new shoes that you bought me."
Yeah, exactly. And so she knows the watch too.
You can reach the bananas at the top of the tree now.
That is too funny. Well, you guys, I want to thank you again, Ralph, for being here. Where again? Just remind our fans where they can find you on Twitter.
On Twitter, it's Ralph Cole Jr. RalphColeJr. Thank you, AJ. Thank you,
Such
Cathy.
a pleasure. And Cathy, what is your Twitter handle?
You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley, CATHERINE, and then Kelly is KELLEY.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at _AJ Gibson. My website is ajgibson.tv. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. My co-host will be back next week. Until then, take care.
Bye-bye, planet Earth.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.